Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you take your time. Great to meet you. How's it going? Where are you?
I'm in Kansas, Missouri.
Missouri. Okay, I've been to Southwest Illinois. That's the closest I've been.
Okay, where are you located?
I'm near Niagara Falls.
Okay. I've always wanted to get up there and see Niagara Falls. Um, my dad was actually born in Brooklyn, raised in Long Island, so a little bit of history with the East Coast. He got in the military, got stationed in Kansas City, fell in love, and here we are.
Oh, yeah. So that's
So,
out toward Kansas City, uh-huh.
yeah, so it's all good. Kansas City's just been a city on the rise for a while now. Since I've lived here and even since my 20s, it's just turned into quite a metropolis.
Really?
Yeah, so it's good. Well, it's great to meet you, man. I want to begin our conversation here with what we've all lived through for the last 3 years, 3.5 years, which has been COVID. How did you get through it? How did it change you?
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a lot to say on that. Um, the so I've spent, I mean, I'll do you want me to give you a background on where I came from first and then how it.
Sure, if you want to. Yeah, I was going to backtrack from there, but I figured I would just start kind of with COVID and then kind of work my way back. So I'll get into the onion layers for sure.
Okay, cool. So I'll just say how it helped me personally, and I'll explain how it gave me the time. It actually was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It gave me personal time, because I was massively, massively overworked for the decade prior.
Yeah,
So it gave me time. I prayed for years for the world to just stop spinning so that I could get myself out of the pickle I was in, and it did.
yeah. Well, that's good. And I hear that a lot. I hear there's silver linings for everybody, that things kind of slowed down, life did what it needed to do, nature reigned supreme, and we all had that moment to kind of exhale, so to speak. So let's get
Mhm.
to the exact essence of what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. One of the kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
Are we rolling?
Oh, yeah. I come from jazz radio. We've been rolling since the beginning. Yeah.
All right, great, great. So yeah, and actually later on I'll connect you with a cousin of mine who's a big jazz guy. He's
Okay.
a big jazz musician, so
Yeah.
I'll connect you with him.
Right on.
So, okay. My name is Marc-Anthony Arena. I am the president of Technosophy LLC. Um, yeah, where do you want me to start?
So just explain to a third grader what you do for a living.
I help senior citizens with their technology in their homes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm actually an IT technician by day, and I just went to someone's house that had a catastrophic Windows update, who's a senior citizen, and pulled her off the ledge. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know.
Really,
Yeah.
that's one of my core concepts that I talk about, how updates are actually destructive. So you'll get that.
Okay. Yeah, I do. Lu-
Aha. Yeah.
luckily it wasn't that bad. She just missed all of her links and I pulled her bookmarks down and turned off automatic updates, and that was it. Just kind of.
You could be like the second guy in the world who protects Windows 10 users from updates.
Yeah. Right. That's good. I should get a lottery ticket.
Really? No, no, but I mean, like, that's what I do for a living, and I know
Yeah,
I'm one of the only people in the world who recognizes it as a threat and protects people from it. Oh, this is
absolutely.
going to be a good talk.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Wow. Yeah, but yeah, in a nutshell, I've been doing tech support for friends and family my whole life. I was 10 years old in Hollywood Beach, Florida. I went down to visit my grandma and her aunt, and they had some cousins. And the cousins told my dad, "We're going to throw away our TV. It doesn't work anymore." Right? This was 1992, right? So big old TV, we're going to throw away. My dad says, "Let me bring Mark over." And my dad's an electrician. He taught me all these concepts, right? So I go over there. We go up this high-rise elevator, 50 stories up, whatever, and we go into their little apartment. And I said, "Let me see the remote." And I look at the remote. I roll the batteries around. I ask them for another fresh set of batteries. TV turns on, and they were amazed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later in life that I realized that's the situation for most consumers, where they're throwing away things unnecessarily. And the guy at the store is waiting there with open arms. He's got a lobster bib on and a fork and a knife, and he's waiting for them to come in. And he'll tell them they need he'll tell them whatever they want to hear and sell them whatever they think they need, tell them that they need things that they don't. So in my estimation, 99% of the money spent in consumer IT is unnecessary.
Yeah.
So around 2009, I was doing setting up a PC for my dad's cousin's sister's best friend. And my girlfriend at the time said, "Hey, you're good at explaining this stuff in plain English. Why don't you do this for a living?" So that's the moment I discovered, oh, wow, people need someone physically in their homes to set up their technology properly and protect them from the industry.
That's interesting. Yeah, that and it's very, very necessary. So when you were a kid, when you were in the 3rd grade, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Probably I wanted to do construction because that's what my dad and my grandpa were doing, something like that. It turns out I'm not great at it. I'm remodeling a house right now, and I can't do anything, so I have people helping me. I wanted to do something involving running my own business because I knew, seeing everyone in my family was some kind of a small business owner, that much I knew. But it wasn't until '09 that I had any idea what I wanted to do for a living.
You know, it's interesting. When I started out in IT, I was kind of grandfathered in. I did desktop publishing for a home health agency in 98. And they were like, "Hey," because CEOs are cheapskates. They're like, "Hey, can you come in here and help us with the technology?" And on the job, while I was doing other things, I diversified myself and started getting involved with networking and troubleshooting and all this stuff. And that was the way it was then. So as far as like certifications and specific trainings, you know what I'm saying? So you sounds like you came from that era where it's like, "Hey, I'm here, let's go for it." And you just kind of learn on the spot. But now, if you want to get into technology, you got to have this certification, that qualification. But we come from probably the old school where it was just the tidal wave and we grabbed a surfboard and just went.
I use the term tidal wave all the time. Yeah, we're self-taught, right? And in my opinion, self-taught is the best way because it turns out the prevalent certification in this industry talks about floppy disks. If tomorrow morning you go get a certification and you get the prevalent one, the big name that every recruiter blindly, oh, you need to have this certification, you're going to learn about floppy disks.
Yeah.
So what I did over the past few years is I developed and launched the first and only residential IT certification that talks about the actual threats that are happening to people instead of obsessing over 40-year-old problems.
Which is the problem with education. I work in education and I'm a tech I service all these schools. And it's like education's the same way. It's this antiquated notion. Let's get the kids ready for the real world. Let's teach them things that they're going to use instead of trigonometry and chemistry and all these things. Not that they can't, it won't expand your brain because it's a muscle, but let's get them into things that are going to make sense, that are going to help them excel in this modern world.
Yeah, and I went to some good schools and they gave me the foundational stuff, right? The math, so I could do math in my head and that sort of thing. And I don't know what other people are doing right now, but yeah, maybe just have the school give you the foundational stuff so that you can understand the rules of the world, right? Understand how the world works. Then everything I've learned as an adult has been need-based, right? And there was a Wired magazine article years back about a teacher who down in Mexico who had this little very impoverished school that was next door to a garbage dump, and it was like the worst school in the universe. And he said, "You know what? I'm gonna just hand these kids a laptop and just tell them learn whatever you want to learn." So it was a needs-based thing, right? Where they learned what they wanted to learn and they were drawn toward whatever it was.
So, are you a Windows or an Apple guy?
I'm an other.
Okay.
So I'm not afraid of either of the major platforms, right? People say, well, my last computer guy fell over and had a heart attack when I said the word Apple, right? So I'm not afraid of either. I spent years in both things. I was pro Apple up until 2018 when they fell to pieces, right? They were great, they were admirable, and they competed on merit and they were superior. And then in 2018, unbeknownst to most people, they banged a gavel and said, let's lose all of our ethics and let's create products that are designed to die. So I tell a lot of people, look, yeah, that Apple that you paid a ton of money for, That is now a throwaway paper cup. They kept the high price, but it's a single circuit board. So if you ever have an issue at all, you spill coffee on it, whatever, you lose all your data, and the machine is roasted forever. Single circuit board, put it in the garbage. So what I've been doing for clients, I never ever ever say the word Linux, because again, my computer guy said Linux is
Yeah.
scary, and he fell over and clutched his chest. So I use a flavor of Linux. It's called Mint. So I walk in and I say, look, 99% of planet Earth calls me and says, Mark, I'm intelligent, successful retiree, and my computer guy said I was stupid, but all I want to do is get online and be left alone. I said, all right, look, you're not stupid. You're an intelligent, successful person. 99% of the planet wants to get online and be left alone. So that's what Mint does for you. I'm one of 2 shops in my city that offers Mint. So what happens is I'll clean your whatever Windows or Mac or whatever when I come to your house. I'll clean that first. And then I'll say, hey, do you have a laptop in the closet? And everyone on earth, oh yeah, I got a laptop in the closet. It was hacked by viruses or whatever, when in reality it was destroyed by Norton or McAfee or Sophos or WebRoot, right? So I say, look, there's nothing wrong with this laptop, perfectly fine. I rescue their photos off of there, rescue their documents, whatever, and then I put Mint. So it's a third-party operating system. It's not Mac, it's not Windows. It looks enough like Windows 7 that there's no learning curve at all for a consumer. And you get your Firefox, your email, your LibreOffice, and you're perfect forever, pretty much. You're virtually bulletproof. So people are blown away.
Yeah, that's genius. So, who's been kind of a hero for you in your life?
Oh, that's a great question. So many. I can't even, my own parents and grandparents, of course. In my career, Linus Torvalds, right? And Richard Stallman and those kind of guys. Clement Lefebvre, the guy who does Mint. There's so many guys. Can't even begin to, yeah.
Yeah. So, let me ask you this. If you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now, whether they're in technology or otherwise, and you could spend a little time with them, who would it be?
First person that comes to mind is probably Elon Musk, because he's
Yeah.
just doing so many great things. And I love, and I do this in a very tiny way in my life where, I love how he calls people NPCs, right? Where people are just, he calls them non-player characters, like they're just built-in characters you'd see in a video game. Where so many people, and I grew up in a town where it was like that, where so many people, they just worship sports and they do what they're told, and they're all just cookie cutter people. I hate to say that, right?
Yeah.
But my buddies and I were very unique, and we were very independent thinkers. Um, so yeah, I just love how he plows through all of these cookie cutter people and just thinks critical thinking skills and solves things.
Yeah. So obviously for Elon, there's a lot of motivation for him to do what he does. What is that for you? What gets you out of bed every day? What gets you to accomplish what you want to get done?
Saving seniors, that's huge. And some people tell me, Mark, you can still make money and help the seniors, right? And then that's my goal this year, is to figure out how to do that. But look, a lot of times, I mean, I do charge a lot of money for what I do, but it's just that initial makeover, right? And then you just go on. But mainly my reason for doing this, like if tomorrow morning you said, hey Mark, I want to do what you do, like I wouldn't even care what the money was. I just want to teach you how to go out there and protect the seniors, right? From the big box stores, from the scams, from the bills that they have. Most of my seniors, I walk in and they're, oh yeah, I'm paying 150 a month for my cell phone that I use once a month. Okay, we're going to fix that, right?
Yeah.
Or the predatory cable companies. I personally was on the phone with my own cable company for 4.5 hours yesterday, and they tried to screw me over, right?
Yeah.
So it's a great pleasure when I go to, last Friday, I was at a guy's house, and he's boomer, and he was paying $89.99 a month for internet, and that's our new minimum, right? And I chopped him down to 29.
Yeah.
It's gratifying.
Yeah. Yeah. That is great. And that's the thing, seniors get totally played, you know? I mean, in a very heightened, dramatic way, it's the people that call and say, "Hey, we're at a Microsoft service center. We need your information. There's something wrong with your computer." I mean, it just takes one person to fall for that, and then it's, that's it.
You and I know it's a scam, but people don't realize everyone's falling for it.
Yeah.
Almost daily, I get a call. Oh, yeah, the guy said he was Amazon. The guy said he was Microsoft. So I let him into my computer. I gave him all my bank accounts. This month, the latest thing, I had 2 people, intelligent retirees. Guy called, said he was Microsoft, said he wanted me to mail him all my cash in a box.
Did he do it?
First person did, second person didn't.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
You don't realize, okay? Right. Like again, when I got into this business, I was just some broke guy whose girlfriend told him you might as well do something for money while you're broke. And I had an inkling that some people were getting ripped off, but what I learned is everyone.
So you have these vignettes of story that you weave together already of these customers. What's been one of your favorite client success stories that you've been involved with?
Oh man. These are great. I'm if oh one of my favorites. So mainly I do residential because it's so greatly underserved, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll do Soho, right? I don't do medium-sized businesses because there's always a bearded tyrant who makes them do 1981 virus scans and he wants to keep them locked down so he can have his gravy train, right?
Yeah.
But small offices with less than 5 people, sure. I get to know the owner and the owner has all these problems and no business owner on earth knows any of their passwords. So that's a huge thing. I reset people's passwords. I say, look, you keep this. Well, I don't use my password anyway. My computer guy set it up. I don't have a password. Well, you do.
Yeah.
It's like your birth certificate. You don't use it every day, but it controls your life.
Yeah.
Right. So I do password resets for people. And then I look at their bills, right, with the small businesses. And again, 99% of small businesses are paying too much. I had a guy who owned a little hamburger and hot dog and ice cream kind of restaurant, right? And he was paying like 50 a month. He was paying like several hundred a month for he had 2 different internet connections, didn't know he was paying 2 different bills. So I saved him actually several hundred a month. He was paying $50 a month for a virus scan from some company that did a virus scan on his website. Websites don't use Microsoft technology, so they can never get viruses. $50 a month. Oh, I just saw a letter in the mail and it looked official and they said they were going to protect my site. And meanwhile, he was infected with GoDaddy, which in my professional opinion had 0 security. Anyway, so the hamburger hot dog guy was one, but my favorite one, he was a bug exterminator downtown over here. Really, really smart guy, like smarter than he even realized, right? Very successful, very intelligent guy. Came to computers. He didn't know what he was doing. So the phone company walked in and they said, yeah, we have a bundle where we'll get you a website. And it was like a 2-page piece of garbage made by a kindergartner on the other side of the world kind of thing, right? Everything was wrong. And I looked at the bundle, and of course it's bundled, right? So that you can't break it apart and actually save money. But I looked at it and subtracting the amount for the actual phone line that he had in his desk, subtracting that amount, the rest of the bill that he was paying for this evil piece of garbage website was $987 a month. $987 a month. So I got on the phone and had a battle against them. And I'll say the name of the company if you want. They actually had to change their name. They were associated with the phone company. They had to change their name because so many people hated them. And they live on in a different form. But so the salesman had to come over and we yelled at him so much. The poor guy got a bloody nose. So I switched him to one of my guys who was $119 per year. And all it was, and it looked a lot better and all that. Look,
Yeah.
and people just put all their hope. Oh, I heard websites equal good. I heard websites equal business. Right. So if you want a website to have your name and number and a little description of what you do, fine, but pay $119 a year instead of that.
Yeah.
He was
Wow.
thrilled.
So let me ask you this. Of all of the things that you've done and accomplished in your life up to this point, what are you the proudest of?
Being an uncle and a godfather.
Right on.
Absolutely. Teaching my best buddies' kids and my own nephews about old video games, teaching them about the 80s.
Yeah. Gotta keep it
But
alive.
aside from that, yeah, I mean, that's obviously the first and foremost right before any career. But yeah, in my career, I gotta say, like here I am, I'm only helping a couple people a day. And years ago, when my grandma was alive, she called me and she said, I know you're stressed out, I know you're exhausted, but just remember those people need you. I know you want to be doing more but those people need you.
So, if you had a dream tonight, you ran into a much younger version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained up to this point, what advice would you give your young self?
Aside from buying Tesla earlier,
Right, there you go.
and all that, I would say don't waste a lot of time with consultants, and don't waste a lot of time trying too hard, and don't hire people, because the employees I had were excellent at destroying everything, destroying my reputation. Just get out there sooner, I would have told myself. Like I spent years, I wrote my book and I published it, and that's awesome. But I spent years writing training documents, thinking I needed to complete the training documents before I started training independent apprentices, right? So it was, hey, you know what? I'm going to torture myself all these years instead of, hey, look, let's just do a rough draft and get some people out there.
So, I just finished a book by Alan Lightman, and he was talking about what could possibly happen 100 years from now. We could be part machine, we could have a chip in our head that would give us Google instantly, just a myriad of things. But in your estimation of dealing in technology right now, what do you think beyond AI is going to be one of the most revolutionary things that we may get involved with technology?
Well, here's what I'm bent on fixing is centralized control. That's something that I've made it another, lifelong thing to speak out against, right? Technology's great, it's fun, you can do a lot of stuff. I used to enjoy it back when it was my hobby. But 10 years ago I could fix anything, right? But nowadays a lot of the problems that are coming in are, hey Mark, look at this. And I go, oh, this is part of the cloud, this is a cloud controlled product, you're helpless, you're done. People need to realize that the products that are coming out of these factories now, any of the ring cams, especially iPads, stuff like that, smart TVs, you don't know this, but the product you thought you purchased that you hold in your home and you can hold in your arms is not yours. It is being controlled by the factory, and it can be destroyed by the factory at any time. The greatest example is the Sonos scandal, where you buy a speaker from Sonos and it's cloud controlled. Okay, that cloud control means that when you turn it on, it begs its own factory for permission to exist. And Sonos has already, quote unquote, deprecated their older models. So those products are not allowed to function when you turn them on, and they are nothing more than doorstops.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah,
That's
but it
scary.
sounds good, and my friends had one, and I bought it because my friends told me it sounded good. They're
Yeah,
time bombs.
yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this, Mark. Everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, my little cousins love making fun of me. They love it because I'm allergic to cheese. So they come over at my house one day with a Burger King, and I open it up. Oh, that's nice of you. And it was just cheese on a bun.
Oh, no.
They love teasing me. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say freedom fighter, but I want to say I raise awareness, right? I'm a champion for the seniors. I raise awareness for what's going on. Ambassador is the word, right? I have a business degree, actually. So I come at the IT industry from a business ethics perspective. So I'd like to be known as an ambassador, or someone who explains tech in English.
So if anyone out there wants to hire you, learn more about you, anything about your world, where can they go?
TheComputerExorcist.com. I talk about the 4 new threats that are out there that most computer guys aren't aware of. I have a book that explains everything in plain English. I have a podcast, and you're welcome to come on my show, TheComputerExorcist.com, and that's also the name of the podcast. Yeah.
I love it, man. Mark, thank you so much. This has been great. There's so many
thank you
things
so
that
much,
I didn't
Joe.
realize would have been in common and a part of it. So yeah, thank you for opening up. I appreciate it.
Hey, keep in touch.
Yes, sir. Take care. Have a good day.